This is Stonehenge. It's one of the most famous monuments in the world. But who built it? It's been attributed to Merlin, an alleged wizard, or perhaps the devil himself. But there are other, more mundane theories. Was Stonehenge the work of giants, aliens, or just some savvy medieval builders? I'm the host and you're watching this channel. Join me today as we explore some of the theories about who really built Stonehenge. And if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. The history of Stonehenge is long and mysterious. The site was first occupied during the Neolithic period, around 3100 BC, when a circular ditch called a henge was dug. Over the next few centuries, several burial mounds were constructed within the ring, along with a number of smaller prehistoric monuments. In the late Neolithic and early Bronze Ages, the henge was then enclosed by a circular wall made of earth and timber. This structure continued to be used for burials until about 2500 BC, at which point it was abandoned. It remained relatively unknown until the late Middle Ages, when it began to attract the attention of local farmers. They expanded the earthworks, added a large avenue of trees, and converted the site into a deer park. By the 17th century, the area had become popular with antiquarians, and the first excavations were carried out in the 1800s. These revealed that the monument had been constructed in several phases. The oldest stones are the sarsen stones, which formed the outer circle of the monument. These massive blocks of sandstone weigh up to 50 tons and were quarried from nearby Marlborough Downs. The next phase of construction saw the erection of the inner circle of smaller stones known as the Blue Stones, which were brought from the Preseli Hills in southwest Wales, over 140 miles away. Finally, a horseshoe shape was created by setting up 2 rows of stones and filling in the gaps with smaller rocks. We don't know exactly how the stones were transported or erected, but recent research suggests that they may have been dragged along the ground using a combination of ropes and logs. So far, so unexciting. The truth is that much of what we think about Stonehenge is based on myth and legend rather than fact. One of the earliest written accounts of the monument dates back to 1135, when the English monk John of Worcester wrote that the stones had been erected by Merlin, the legendary wizard. According to the tale, Merlin built Stonehenge in order to protect the people of Britain from the Saxons, but his plan backfired when the invaders used the stones as a lookout post. This story, like many others, has no basis in reality. Merlin was a mythical figure who supposedly lived in the 6th century, but there is no evidence that he ever existed. In fact, the earliest archaeological evidence at Stonehenge dates back to the Neolithic period, thousands of years before Merlin's supposed lifetime. Another legend attributes the construction of Stonehenge to the devil himself. According to the story, the devil appeared to a local farmer and asked him to help build a church in return for granting him 3 wishes. The farmer agreed, and the devil set about creating the church using stones. When his task was finished, the farmer found that he was able to see heaven and hell, and the devil became angry and banished him from ever entering the church. Now known as the Close, this ruined chapel still stands near Stonehenge and is a popular destination for tourists. But again, there is no evidence to support this or any other purely mythical explanation for Stonehenge. So who really built it? Well, there are a number of more plausible theories. The first is that the monument was constructed by the druids, the mysterious Celtic priests who are often associated with ancient megalithic sites. There is some evidence to support this theory. The druids believed that the earth was a living being, and they often built their sacred sites in harmony with the natural world. Stonehenge is perfectly aligned with the solstices, and its builders would have been well aware of this fact. It was also used as a burial ground for several centuries, and the druids were known to cremate their dead and scatter their ashes. However, there is no hard evidence to link the druids with the construction of Stonehenge itself. In fact, we don't know for sure that they even existed. While there is a wealth of Roman and Greek literature describing the druids, much of it is highly critical and may be biased. The Romans, in particular, viewed the druids as a superstitious and barbarous people. Most historians agree that the druids were a kind of priest class who played an important role in the religious and political life of the Celts. But we don't know much about their beliefs or practices. Another theory is that Stonehenge was built by a group of Neolithic farmers. These people lived in the area around Stonehenge from about 4000 BC until the end of the Stone Age around 2500 BC. They were a peaceful and egalitarian society who lived in small settlements and grew crops such as wheat and barley. They kept cattle, sheep and pigs, and they hunted deer and wild boar. While there is no evidence that they were herders, these farmers may have been responsible for building the monument because it would have served as a focal point for their religious and social activities. Finally, it has been suggested that Stonehenge was built by the Bronze Age people who lived in Britain from about 2500 to 600 BC. These people were more warlike than their Neolithic predecessors, and they began to use metal tools and weapons. They also built large burial mounds called barrows, which often contained multiple burials. While there is no direct evidence linking the Bronze Age people with Stonehenge, it is possible that they were responsible for the monument's later use as a burial site. So why do all these theories fail to explain who really built Stonehenge? Well, the truth is that we don't know. We have no written records from the time the monument was constructed, and archaeologists have been unable to uncover any definitive evidence about its origins. All we have are the stones themselves, which are silent witnesses to the many myths and legends that have grown up around them. Some people believe that Stonehenge was built by an advanced alien race that came from another planet. Proponents of this theory point to the monument's precise alignment with the solstices and the fact that it is surrounded by a number of other ancient sites, such as Avebury and Rollright. They argue that these sites are part of a much larger network that was used for astronomical observation and communication with the stars. There is, however, no evidence to support this theory, and it is almost certainly a modern invention. In fact, there is nothing in the archaeological record to suggest that aliens ever visited Earth. Others believe that Stonehenge was built by giants who lived in Britain before the days of Noah. This theory is based on the Bible's story of the Nephilim, a race of giants that lived on Earth before the flood. Again, there is no evidence to support this theory, and it is not taken seriously by mainstream archaeologists. What is clear, however, is that Stonehenge is one of the most impressive feats of engineering in human history. Its builders possessed a deep understanding of mathematics and astronomy, and they had the skills and knowledge to construct a monument that has survived for thousands of years. We may never know who really built Stonehenge, but we can appreciate the monument for what it is, a testament to the ingenuity and creativity of our ancestors. So what do you think? Who really built Stonehenge? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you next time.